And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome in on this wonderful Saturday to RBLR Reigns here at RBLR Sports. My name is Eureka, and joining me, coming in, he's our two-way player. He pitches, he hits, he does everything. He's got a wonderful Z-score on the defensive side too. That is Ben Whitelaw, man. Welcome to the show, Ben. What's up, buddy?
Hey, it's going pretty good. How are you?
Living the dream, man. It's good to have a little break and to have baseball return. So it's not quite the middle of the season, but it's the kind of designated halfway point where we can sit back, we can kind of gather our thoughts about the team, enjoy a little bit of the Midsummer Classic, and now focus on what we have to do to this final playoff push here. So the Rays here continuing to cook at home. A little good fortune for them this week. They finished up playing a couple games with the Blue Jays in their series. Had a little bit of All-Star, and then we got a little bit of taste of a little Atlanta. Even though the All-Star game was supposed to be in Atlanta, they moved it, but we went there anyway for a Friday night game that was pretty crazy. We had a whole bunch of action in that game, and then you had a whole bunch of pitching in the one of the Blue Jays games. So it's kind of whatever you like about baseball, you got a little bit of it. So my first thing I would ask is get us up to speed as we sit here, getting ready for the quote-unquote second half of the season. News and notes. What did you see out there that was interesting?
So Andrew Kittredge made the All-Star game, which is awesome for him.
Yeah, buddy.
He's definitely had quite the journey through the big leagues. And all three Rays that made it to the All-Star game, so Kittredge, Wendell, and Zunino all made pretty decent contributions.
Yeah.
There was that little COVID scare after the All-Star game. It was traced back to the Yankees, so that was an interesting Thursday night to Friday morning type thing. The Red Sox-Yankees game got postponed. And because, whatever Yankees player was at the All-Star festivities, it kind of caused concern for a lot of teams across the league. But thankfully, we're good here. So that was a little nerve-wracking, though.
Now, before we get let's get a little bit into the All-Star game, just because it's kind of the highlight, I guess, of the week.
Yeah.
What did you see through the All-Star game that you enjoyed? Because there's so much. It's just a different, fun game. Even how they cover the game and broadcast it and things like that. What were some things that stuck out to you?
The home run derby looked really fun. I just wanted to step back to that real quick. Pete Alonso looked like he was having a great time. It was quite the show. We got a couple 500-foot plus home runs. We got a little bit of everything there. A lot of guys can hit the ball really hard. I feel like Juan Soto really showed out. So that was pretty cool. But that home run derby was awesome. Then we get the All-Star game where, again, our three Rays players contributed. Zunino with his 433-foot opposite field homer. So that was really cool. I think that's his first opposite field homer this season. So it's interesting that he chose the All-Star game to break that up, but we'll take it. And then we get Wendell. He made a base hit and a nice defensive play. But my favorite was Andrew Kittredge. He pitched a really clean inning, but it's his story really that's more exciting. He was a 45th round pick in 2008. He was the 1,360th overall pick in that draft. Spent 9 years in the minors, had a Tommy John scare with the Rays a couple years ago, came back, and now he's just pitching amazing. So it's really cool to see him succeed like that. And he was throwing, I think, 97 or 98 in the All-Star game, which was, a bit of a surprise there too.
Yeah, and just looking around at everyone else too. I mean, Shohei, killer. It's just killer to see him lead off and then pitch the next inning or the next half inning. Vladdy almost ripping off Max Scherzer's head with a liner and then going back over and giving him a big old hug. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But then, the Rays showing up, man, it was awesome. So you were waiting for our guys because none of our guys are the starters, and we're kind of used to that with the Rays. It's so you get Mike Zunino. Just he gets a solo blast to right field, but then also makes a killer defensive play. I mean, it was lucky, but like still, the runner on first takes off after that bouncing ball, wild pitch. Zunino just takes it on the relay as it bounces right off the backstop and just fires it over to second for an easy out. Just fun, man. But I guess the best homer had to have been, you talk about the All-Star home run derby, man. Vladimir Guerrero just absolutely destroying that ball to left field.
Oh, my God, yeah.
and as they're talking to Fernando Tatis Jr. About Vladimir Guerrero and like him and how they're both like have very similar stories from, two different walks, but like very similar. And I mean, Vlad then hits an absolute no doubter, and Tatis just puts his hands on his head as he's watching it like, oh no. So just a bit of fun, man. I love the baseball All-Star game. I said it last week that I think it's the best festivity of all the Pro Bowl All-Star games of the other leagues. And not that those things don't have fun aspects of them, but just the whole atmosphere, the way the players get into it. What did you think about the jerseys as we do fashion watch?
Honestly, I hated them when I first saw them on Twitter. When I saw them on the players, I still hated them, but a little bit less. So they grew on me a little bit, but I think they should just go back to what they used to do, with like letting the players wear their team jerseys. I think that makes it a little bit more like fun for the fans too. I don't know. It's cool to see a Rays jersey out on the field, but I guess their intention was good with those All-Star jerseys, but the execution, 6 out of 10.
Agreed. There's a lot to get into about that we won't. But like, it's cool to see all the mismatched, Yankees next to Red Sox, the Cardinals next to Cubs. Those kind of things are fun, and I know they're doing it to sell a little bit more of those jerseys, but just did not come across. And they could have been a little better designed to be a little bit more Colorado-esque. I know that was on short time, but come on, man, that's another part is getting those jerseys specifically to the cities and the areas that they're around. So, all right, well, let's get into before we'll rewind a little bit. Let's get into maybe injuries and stuff afterwards, but let's get into the first game that we had since we've talked, and that was on actually the 10th, or the Saturday that we last put out a show. It was a 5-2 win against the Blue Jays. We had Yarbs on the mound starting against Ross Stripling. And what did you see out of the Blue Jays versus the Rays?
They are so aggressive. Their lineup comes out swinging every single game, which it's a little intimidating, but sometimes it doesn't always help them, especially when you've got like a finesse guy like Yarborough on the mound. He definitely was able to use that aggression against them. So it was the Blue Jays are, in my opinion, the biggest threat in the AL East, but they just can't figure it out. So they can't put like a nice complete game together. So if they do figure it out during the second half, I think they'll pass. They'll pass a couple teams, maybe move up to a wild card spot, but they're a little scary because they're very close. What about you?
I mean, we talked about it last week that I think we both really like the Blue Jays, or at least we're like scared of the Blue Jays if they become fully functional, like you just said. I mean, you're talking. The lineup is crazy now. Just imagine what it could be with Bichette and Vlad, and I'm just and good pitching too. I mean, Ross is having himself a pretty good year, and he's done really well against us. But in this game, it was a little bit of a home run derby itself. Mike Zunino, of course, hits a bomb to tie the game. Even KK got in the mix with an extra base hit, and then Brandon Lau. Talking about no-doubters, that was an absolute no-doubter on a 3-2 count to go up 4-2, and that just kind of that was only the third inning, and then the bullpen and Yarbs were able to kind of finish the job. So I mean, really, I mean, Marcus Semien hit a 2-run home run for the Blue Jays to put them up 2-1, and that's that kind of brings me to what my next thing is about Yarborough. He goes 5 innings, gives up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, strikes out 4, and walks 2, and continues to win. Okay, this is his he's on a streak of really good results. And that low ERA, of course, getting wins in the win column, but wins are a kind of a team statistic. If we just take apart what Yarborough's doing, one thing that concerned me, and let me know if I'm on the wrong track here, but once Marcus Semien hits that 2-run home run, that was Yarborough's 59th pitch, and it was only 7 outs that he had recorded up to that point. He ends up with he ends up with I think it was like 120 pitches or 110 pitches in his 5 innings of work, but he's just kind of like maybe am I on the wrong track here? Where it is impressive. He's getting the wins. He does pitch, like you said, a little differently, where he's not a big. He's got a lot of finesse to his game. But should we be worried that what Yarborough is doing isn't sustainable in the future?
I absolutely agree with you. I don't think it is sustainable. I had it before. I think last week I had it in my notes that he has a career FIP, so the field independent pitching. How he's really pitching regardless of the defense behind him. It's like 4.3, so he's really not great, and he's never really been that great, but he's good. And he does that dance where he just kind of tries to wiggle through a lineup, the best he can, and he's been getting results. But I completely agree. He is overperforming, but as long as he keeps it up, I'm fine with it. I'm just worried, like you said, will this, or could this come crashing down? But he does have a 2.55 ERA against Toronto this season in 21 innings, and ERA is. A guy could smoke a ball 105 miles an hour, but hit it right to Kiermaier, and that's still an out. But if he hits that, 10 feet to the left of Kiermaier, that's a double. So ERA is a little tricky there, but he is getting the results, even if his performance isn't matching those results.
Yeah, that was my one kind of as I'm watching the game, I'm just like. Yarbs just tends to get. It's one of those things okay, it's only 5 hits, but he does put a couple guys on. But we're talking. That's your whip. Your whip's kind of inflating at that level where it's like, come on, buddy. What are we doing here? But then you strike out 4 guys, so now you're talking. Your K rate is pretty good. So it's like, what are we doing here?
He kind of. Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, I was going to say, he kind of reminds me of that guy over at Clearwater Beach who spins the plates on the sticks. It looks like, things might fall apart in any second, but he somehow balances it all. I don't really get it, but we'll take it. We kind of need those innings, so.
Yeah, well, and he's being propped up too. You don't have to bring in the bullpen as quickly because Zunino in the third and Lau in the third hit. They just explode and put up 4 runs real quickly. Brandon Lau had an amazing game too. If we just look at his performance, 2 for 3 with 3 ribbies. He walks and strikes out once, which on this team that's the low point. Hey, you only struck out once this game. Hey, good job, man. But the bullpen continues to do well here. Whistler brings his stats kind of back down to earth with 1 2/3, only 1 hit and 2 strikeouts. Fairbanks comes in and he gets 3 strikeouts in 4 outs that he pitches, and then Diego comes in. He does walk a guy. Got a little dicey. He had a little bit of a jam with runners on the corners, but he does pick up. I believe he picks up the save in that game. So, but he comes in and closes the door anyway. So, the next game they went into. The offense kind of propped up Yarborough over there. The bullpen came in to do it. Completely different game here. The very next day on Sunday, a 3-1 loss to those Blue Jays, ending our winning streak at 6. And the Rich Hill's on the mound for us, but it was Robbie Ray Day against the Rays. Robbie Ray, man, his fastball and his slider were both on fire, and he continues his strikeout fest that we haven't seen in Toronto in a while. And what better lineup to come in and inflate your K rate and your strikeout total than the Tampa Bay Rays? What did you see the very next day in this amazing pitching matchup, or at least performance?
So we, I think the last time we talked, we said this was a game to look out for because it is like a quality left-handed starter. So this would be a good test for the Rays. They didn't really pass the test on that Sunday, unfortunately. Robbie Ray was really good, but it felt like they were kind of just taking a lot of the strikeouts. And I do have kind of a conspiracy theory about some of their strikeouts that we will probably be able to get into later when we get to the Atlanta game.
Okay.
Just because it kind of reaffirmed it there, so I'm going to do some research. But
all right.
Yeah, Robbie Ray was just really good. Brandon Lau did get another homer, but that was the offense right there, one homer. Yeah, it was just the inconsistencies against left-handed starters continue. We need guys like Randy to step it up. We need Yandy Diaz to step it up. I know Margot's hurt, but even he hasn't been that great against lefties. These are guys who have historically throughout their careers, hit over 800 with their OPS against these left-handers. So they need to start performing like we know they're capable of, because we need to improve against lefties.
The two things that stood out to me in a good way before we get into some of the bad that I'll talk about, but All-Star Mike Zunino in the game that we won, he throws out Vladimir Jr. at a little there's a little bit of a dust up as Vladdy's returning back to first. Zunino just fires it over to first, and they get Vladimir out. Well, in this game there was something similar. G-Man Choi catches a liner, just an absolute frozen rope to first, catches it. Vladdy is coming to tag back up at first, and it's just an unassisted double play, and it's just kind of what Vladimir Jr. cannot
right.
get off first base, which was pretty funny. But yeah, other than Yandy Diaz thinking he had a homer, but it was actually the crowd. It wouldn't have been a homer anyway. It would have bounced off the wall and been a double anyway. But that up until that hit, the Rays had been no hit, and including Wander Franco, kind of looking. He took two looking strikeouts. He's just looking right at it, and he was kind of upset with one of the calls, and it was no, but it was kind of it was right at your knees, and you took it, and it was a strike, man. Other than Brandon Lau and Yandy getting that little double, it was not a good day for the Sticks, man. But it wasn't like the pitching was horrible for the Rays. Rich Hill, he goes 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. I mean, that's almost the same stat line that Yarborough had in a win. It isn't horrible. It's not great. You're not you're just kind of there. But Colin McHugh, he goes 2 innings, only gives up a hit. Rasmussen, 2 innings, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. I mean, the bullpen was fine as they are all season long. Rich Hill does okay. It's just Wander Franco 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Randy Rosarena 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. I mean, something's got to give, like you said.
Oh yeah, Wander's, he's historically better against lefties too. So he's another guy who, I know we can't depend on a 20-year-old rookie to carry the offense, but he's got to get it together against those lefties for sure.
So let's see. I guess that's a good point to kind of set the table for that right there is what set up the All-Star break. So coming back from the All-Star break, what do you see? We got a lot to talk about with injuries and returning players and what the Rays might do at the trade deadline. But before we get into the Atlanta game, let's kind of reset the table on the injuries and where the team is at before we get into the second half here. So we got a couple players that we might be seeing pretty soon, huh?
Yeah. So we did mention Margot earlier as someone who needs to step it up against lefties. He's, got his hamstring thing. Brasso has his oblique thing. They began hitting off a tee recently, so they're starting to work their way back. I think all of it's kind of exciting to see these guys come back, but seeing Archer throw an inning with the Florida Complex League Rays, so like they're, lower than A ball league in Florida here, but he's going to be moving up to AAA today, actually on Saturday, so he's going to get some work up there. So he might be pretty close to returning. Oliver Drake, he had a slight setback with his rehab. He was supposed to start with Durham, but he should be fine going forward. Another really exciting thing is Nick Anderson is very close to starting his rehab. He threw a bullpen session down in Port Charlotte. He apparently looked really, really good. And, usually if a guy's like, okay, they're like, oh yeah, he threw well today, but they were, really happy about what they saw from him. So that's a good sign.
Okay.
Another one, Ryan Thompson, he's still a bit of a ways away with his shoulder. He hasn't even started facing hitters again yet, but he is playing catch. Another exciting one, Tyler Glasnow. I have glass half full here in my notes because, had to work that in somehow, but he's starting to play catch, which is a really good sign. It looks like he might be able to avoid surgery. We'll have to see if there's going to be any setbacks or anything, but if he's able to avoid surgery, he could return this season. So, yeah. Oh, and Brendan McKay too. He started his rehab, but then he got another setback, so he's kind of taking it easy.
Yeah. We were talking last week about what we might do if we're going to go get somebody. I think, the way that Kevin Cash deploys the bullpen, you might see once we get Anderson and Thompson and Glasnow, hopefully, but, that's kind of a dream list there. But at least Anderson and Thompson getting back, you might see a little bit more of the opener as opposed to having a true fifth, like real big fifth guy. And if you get Glasnow back, yeah, buddy. And if they go out and maybe bring, or if we get Patino or someone to come in the back end of that then it's kind of where I'm seeing them going, is just kind of waiting for the cavalry to arrive.
Yeah, I agree.
They've been bit with the injury bug, and here we go. I was going to say, anything you want to get into before we start talking about second half?
I think we're good.
Okay.
There's really not much else. I guess we're ready for that.
All right, yeah, because so they come back from the break, and it was a good little palate cleanser, because by Friday I was ready. I was like, let's go. I need some baseball in my life, and what a game to come back to. This was last night's game against the Atlanta Braves, and Charlie Morton is on the hill for Atlanta. He's having himself a year, man. Do you think maybe Charlie Morton was an all-star snub for the Braves?
I think so. I feel like there were pitchers who weren't as good that made it, but I know that the players do the pitcher voting, and he really started to come around I think a little over a month ago, so the voting might have already been done before he picked it up, but no, he's been great. His spin rates on all of his pitches are, near the top of the league. So he's still, throwing well. He's just a really good quality pitcher who, even if he doesn't have his best stuff like last night, he's going to find a way to, go as long as possible.
Yeah, I'm joking here, but maybe there's a little bit of old man tricks that don't involve spider tack.
No, I mean it could be. I don't know. I think that's possible.
We got to check him for an emery board and or long fingernails or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he goes on the mound against Michael Wacha, and we'll get into kind of how we feel about Wacha, but. What a crazy game. I mean, small ball gets it going. Even Kevin Kiermaier hits one in, which is, there we go, man. Just get contact, KK. Come on, buddy. He gets a ribby. Wendell then gets a little grounder that gets a run in. We had home runs. We had triples, extra base hits, crazy, just gutty offensive performance. Not to say that the pitching was all horrible. It's just there was a lot of contact from both teams in this game. What were your standouts against the Braves?
So like you said, there was a lot of contact, and we got some home runs. I think, the warm summer night like that's gonna contribute to that a little bit. But yeah, it was a lot of offense for a game that, I wasn't sure if it would have that much offense.
Yeah.
I liked Wendell, just playing hard as he always does, but it's so nice to see him get that all-star recognition because he really does play like an all-star on a lot of days. So, it's really nice to have him contribute. Austin Meadows was really, really clutch in his, return to Georgia. That's where he's from. Wander hit the ball pretty hard a couple times and had something to show for it this time. He'd been getting pretty unlucky coming into the game. His strikeouts against Robbie Ray were probably rock bottom for him, so it's nice to see him kind of pick it up. And KK's been weirdly hot for a couple, I think like a week and a half now. So yeah. I'm going to look into that and see how he's doing that, because this is it's a nice surprise.
Well, and not to say, hey, great, let's ship him out now, but it's one of those things where if he's getting hot at the right time, his price tag might not be so high if he's actually performing. He does great, and if we keep him, even better, and if he can just keep doing that phenomenally. So, but in this game, man, it was kind of you had Austin Riley and Freddie Freeman over there, just like killing it for the Braves. I mean, my guy Freeman 4 for 5, 2 ribbies. Austin Riley 2 for 4 with a walk and 2 ribbies. But Austin Meadows, man, he decides to write his name in the history books here. 2 for 4 with 3 runs batted in, including an RBI single in the top of the 10th, and that is what seals the deal for the Rays. But on the way, man, I mean, G-Man hits a solo. Wander Franco, though, man, that triple, dude, he smokes it out there, goes off the wall. A little bit of defensive kind of misplaying the ball a little bit, but Wander, man, just turns on the jets, dude. And it's kind of the first big thing we've seen in the majors of him turning a single into a triple, or turning a double into a triple, just because of those jets.
Yeah, I think he's in like the 91st percentile for sprint speed in baseball. So he's got it's like sneaky good speed that, when he's putting the ball in play, he does get to show off. So we like to see that.
Yeah, man. I mean, and the other thing that's nice is right after that, we got a guy on third with 1 out, and we hit a sac fly.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Here we go. I'm more excited for the sac fly than I am the G-Man Choi home run, because I'm like, we did it. We had a guy in scoring position, and we brought him in immediately. Like, let's go.
I know, we got to hang up a banner for that or something at the Trop.
Yeah.
Like July 16th, probably like 8:04 p.m. Wander Franco scored on a sac fly. Put it in the rafters.
But this whole game, though, I mean, we load the bases up, get a little ground ball, gets one in, here we go, man. And then it wasn't just 3-run bomb, 2-run bomb, it wasn't Zunino home run and 4 strikeouts. It was moving runners and getting people in a position and getting them in, man. It was phenomenal. Yeah. Even, Joey Wendell, man, hustles to first on a little chopper for an RBI to tie the ball game. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah. It was a pretty good game overall for like the whole team. I mean, aside from some pitching mistakes, but it was everybody contributed a little bit.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll get into pitching now. Michael Wacha here, 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and 2 gigantic home runs that were those 4 runs. The bullpen kind of comes in and obviously does their thing. So I don't have a lot to say bad about the bullpen. We'll get into that though. But Michael Wacha, I mean, was he just unlucky in this game and he ran into 2 studs hitting home runs, or what did you see out of Mike on the mound?
So I was kind of hoping, like, going back and looking at the results, that it would have been a game like he had against Seattle, where they were just like barely getting these balls out of the infield, whatever, a bunch of unlucky hits, whatever. Yeah. No, Wacha he was getting shelled. Like, even the balls that weren't outs, those were, very hard hit. I think Freeman had 3 balls hit over 95 miles an hour against Wacha. So that wasn't ideal. His expected batting average on his cutter this season is 295. So that's probably a pitch he shouldn't be using too much. But then on his fastball, he's got an expected batting average this season of 340. So he's not fooling anybody. He's getting tons of hard contact. He's in the bottom 5th percentile in the whole league for expected ERA, expected batting average, expected slugging percentage. It's kind of like the opposite of Yarbrough, where like Yarbrough isn't pitching great, but he still gets good results. Waka isn't pitching great and he's not getting results. I know the Rays need innings, but I'm just wondering how much longer they'll keep rolling him out there, because I feel bad. I like him as a person, but like, he's got to get it together.
Yeah, because then you have to throw out Fireisen after 4 innings, and then thankfully, like guys like Rasmussen has gone 2 innings in 2 straight games. Well, I mean, I guess you had a break in between, but you're bringing in guys like Rasmussen for 2 innings. You're bringing in Whistler for 2 innings. And in this game, they got it done, man. I mean, Rasmussen, he did give up 3 hits and a run, but he struck out 3 guys. So you're kind of like, it evens out there. Whistler, 2 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts. I mean, he just continues. He didn't start off strong, in my opinion, and I think he's come around this week, or if you want to break out before the All-Star break, just before then, and then this game, continuing a good trend for him. He gets the win just because of the madness of scoring. And then Pete Fairbanks comes in and gets Jock Peterson to ground out for the save, going 1 inning pitched with a guy on second in extra innings, and doesn't give up a hit, doesn't give up a run, which so I mean, bullpen comes to save the day after Waka throws what he did, but we keep saying that, or at least if we keep looking at Michael Waka's up and down and up and down. There hasn't been that many, like there was one crazy stint where it was like, hey, this Waka thing might work out, man. But does this give you a little bit more of a red siren saying, yeah, they, as much as we were talking about, okay, the cavalry showing up, are they going to bring somebody in and maybe end up DFAing, Waka here?
I don't know if he has options. So if he does get DFA'd, he might just be like on waivers, and I'm sure some team would claim him. But I think it's going to be a really tough decision once Archer is ready, because he's probably like the closest innings eater type of arm that we have to like returning, unless they make a trade, which I don't really know if they'll do. Right. I feel bad because I really want to like him, and he's had like a really good game against the Red Sox, a really good game against the Yankees, but then other than that, he's getting hit really, really hard. So his changeup is amazing. That's like his one thing that's kind of keeping him afloat is his changeup. Nobody can hit it. Ton of swing and miss. Like even if they do hit it, the expected batting average is so low. So maybe they could just have him do like what Whistler does, except with his changeup, and just throw that only. I don't know. I don't really know if that would be effective though. So yeah, Waka's, it's tough. I feel bad, but I just don't know how much longer the Rays are going to keep rolling him out there.
And one thing I would want to look at, you probably could tell me this better than I would even know, but like Waka, would he be suited out of the bullpen? Could he come in and just throw his junk for 1 or 2 innings? I mean, I know we need an innings killer, but I kind of see the future where they're going to be throwing a lot more guys out for just 1 inning, because they know they're going to have to do it more and more and more. So it's kind of like, instead of getting middle relief 2-3 innings at a time, they might have it where, okay, we're going to have these 4 guys are going to pitch. Maybe hopefully our starter goes 5, and then we have 4 guys that we know, like on a schedule, are going to pitch out of the bullpen, and Waka might be one of those guys that comes in and gets 1 or 2 innings if you need to. Maybe not high leverage situations, but he'll be a guy that comes in and eats kind of middle relief as opposed to being in the rotation.
I could definitely see that with Waka. I actually didn't even think about it until you just said it, but his stuff would definitely play up out of the bullpen, because his cutter, his curveball are not very good. His fastball isn't good either, but if he was just like a 2-pitch pitcher with, a fastball changeup, I think, and with the fastball playing up to maybe like 95, 96, he might be good for like a 1 or 2 inning stint. So That'd be interesting to see if they try that. But I know that they need innings, so I don't know if that's something that would happen now. It's definitely possible for the postseason, though.
Because I just like what's so crazy is I look at this team as it's constructed, and I'm like, I see what they've done. I mean, I love that it's just the one hole that we have is that rotation, and it's like if you knew for a fact you're gonna get 5, maybe 6, and then in a cold day in Hades, would you get 7 out of a starter? But if you knew for sure you were going to get 5 or 5 and a third or 5 and 2/3 every time you had someone up there, and then this bullpen, which is even stronger, it just comes in. It's like, here we go, boom, and we're just going to keep chopping you down 1 inning at a time. I think Waka would do well in that, and this team is constructed in that way. It's just that like I don't think Waka's at this point of his career. It's just not the innings eating amazing fourth or fifth guy in the rotation. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I really like Michael Waka.
Yeah, me too.
Man. I really like him, and I wanted him to be that like the story of the Rays, like the Mortons and the hopefully Archer again. It's these guys that like they were cast off, and you think they're done, and nope, they're not done. You put on that D-Rays jersey, and here we go, man. So I would, I guess, as we look to the future here, were there any standout performances that we haven't talked about, or just kind of big picture things you want to talk about before we get into the next series?
I mean, we kind of mentioned a couple other guys that I had here, but I just want to go back to Brandon Lau again. Okay. He's got a home run, and I guess I should change that to last 12 series, but he has a home run in 9 of his last 12 series. He still needs to get one against the Braves here to make it 10 out of 12. He's got a home run in 5 of his last 6 games. He's got an OPS of over 1,200. I'll just call it 1,000. Why not? In July here. So he's been hitting the ball really well for a very long time. It was about like mid-June where he started to turn it around. So, or he started getting results because he's always been hitting the ball hard. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see what he's going to be able to do today and tomorrow against the Braves. What about you? Any other guys?
Yeah, my thing is I think we need to be basking in the glory of Mike Zunino. He is in the zone.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps hitting bombs. His career high is 25, and he's reached 20 or more 3 times in his career. To date, he's got 19. He looks like he's replicating his age 26 season from like 4 or 5 years ago, where he posted a 4.6 WAR. And I mean, that is like, I don't think anyone expected Zunino to be what he's doing. And I mean, it's just so amazing. And, we were memeing last season where it's like, if Zunino only hits home runs and that's it. And it's like, I mean, not that he's, spraying the field with doubles and triples, but we went from being like, that's crazy, you just gave up a home run to Mike Zunino, to like, hey man, Zunino's a bona fide like power hitter in our lineup, and to be a catcher that's slugging like that is like just another tool that's awesome. The other thing I'd bring out is Kevin Cash. Speaking of all-stars, Kevin Cash in the Saturday postgame is quoted as saying that he got everyone together and just told the guys, Mike Trout was selected for the All-Star game, but he can't come to play, so they wanted the next best player, and that is Joey Wendell. And
yeah,
and Joey Wendell was saying, it's pretty fun. I'm sure. I mean, it's a huge moment and especially for the story of Joey Wendell. These are Rays through and through, where it's like they're not the flashy names. You talk about Kittredge in the 3,000th round in the draft, and they're just kind of hoping for lottery tickets at this point. And the Rays have 3 of these guys that, I mean, Zunino, a very highly drafted guy that maybe didn't live up to his potential, but again, the Rays way is to take these guys, develop them, and turn them into at least something that they can use on the field. And it was just fun. It was just a fun week and a fun weekend to get these guys in the All-Star game and a little bit of recognition. And that's kind of my feel-good moment. I mean, we had good baseball. We had some ups. We had some downs. We had some a little bit of storybook things happening, and just all around was really, really, really fun. And I'm excited to continue on here. So as we look forward, we have matchups against the Atlanta Braves, of course. We were finishing up our set against Atlanta. And then we also have a 3-game set at the Trop against Baltimore. And then we start a few more against the Cleveland baseball team. So what do you see going forward? We got another lefty matchup coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, we've got so today we've got Fleming versus Max Fried. This is probably the most important game in this Braves series, in my opinion, just because we get that test against a lefty that's pretty decent. I think we'll fare a little bit better than we did against Robbie Ray, but it still should be a pretty good game. Max Fried has been a little unlucky this season, but he's been better than his numbers suggest, and he pitched really well last year against the Rays, going 6 2/3 with 7 strikeouts, only allowing 1 earned run. So it should be interesting to see if they can turn the tide on that matchup.
Yeah, I just with Atlanta, we're hopefully going to beat up Max Fried. He's been another kind of like Yarborough, right? Where you're talking what are your stats and where are you at really? And unfortunately, these guys, the Rays, strike out a lot. So unfortunately, he might come in and get some little statistics boost there. But I'm also looking to see what happens against another ghost of Christmas past. We played Charlie Morton, and we also have Drew Smiley on the mound this weekend, or at least coming up here against the Rays. So what do you see from maybe Drew's matchup?
So I think that game is going to be a little bit more fun. I feel like that's going to be a lot of offense for both teams. Unfortunately, I feel like that's what's going to happen to Rich Hill, but we'll talk about Drew Smiley first. So he's been performing really well as of late. He's got a 2.75 ERA, and he's won in the last 36 innings pitched. He's won his last 5 starts. But on the season, he has a FIP of 5.19, so he's definitely due to regress to that. So I really think the Rays are going to get to him. And facing 2 lefty starters, like 2 consecutive days, I feel like that'll help get some more consistent at bats for some of the right-handed guys like Randy, Yandy Diaz. So I think they'll have a chance to kind of get it going. So I think Fried will be a good test, but I think Smiley is going to be a fun matchup. And then also, just to talk about Rich Hill real quick on Sunday, he's got his highest barrel percentage of his career that he's allowing this season at 9.6%. So 9.6% of the balls that are hit are barreled up, which is not good for Rich Hill. He's overperforming in a lot of different metrics. His fastball and curveball spin are still really good. But his ERA this season is 3.74, but his FIP is 4.63, so he's due for a little bit of regression as well. His month of May was amazing, and it was great to see him kind of carry the pitching staff that month. But I don't know if we'll see that kind of performance from him again this season, just because of his age and the wear and tear of this season. But I think Sunday is going to be a pretty fun offensive game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fireworks that are ready for that. Why end up being the last game of their series and things like that. Before we anything else about Atlanta before we move on to maybe Baltimore and Cleveland?
I wanted to talk about that quick conspiracy theory I have about the Rays striking out. So I noticed it a little bit against Robbie Ray. I'm like, they're striking out looking like a lot when we have guys like G-Man Choi, like Wander Franco, who they can put the ball in play. They're not. They will strike out a bit, but they're not what their numbers say they've been. So I'm thinking whatever, statistical models that the Rays front office uses, I think they might feel that striking out looking with runners on has the same value of grounding out with runners on. So I think they'd rather take that strikeout and avoid the double play. Right. Then, the double play possibility, because, nothing is certain, but trying to put the ball in play, your swing isn't going to be as hard as it normally is. So you're going to get some weak ground balls, and those would set up well for a double play. So I'm going to look into this more. So it's just a conspiracy theory right now, but I think the Rays are okay with striking out looking with runners on. I think they're fine with that. So
Yeah, I mean, you look at. I mean, I don't want to be. You talk about three true outcomes, but that's kind of what this lineup does. There's like, it's either a blast, an out, a strikeout, or or you're maybe contacting the ball and do something.
Yeah.
But I think there's a little bit of credence to what you're saying as opposed to grounding out. It's like, well, if it's not in the zone and it's not going to be something you can put in play and make some, some slugging action happening, then just take it and we'll see what happens with the umpire call. But then again, like you look at Franco. I mean, well, I guess Franco's the newest of all these guys, or among them, and I mean he wanted that pitch he thought it was really low, and he was kind of jawing at the umpire about it. But then again, his eye was wrong. I mean, just was wrong, and so
yeah.
And then you had a couple times where they're swinging at these really bad low outside pitches. I mean, that's contributing to the high strikeout rate. Is you got into this a little bit about Brandon Lau and kind of being more patient, and we're seeing the fruits of that labor. But a few of these guys still are, especially in the Robbie Ray game. He was getting them to chase crazy stuff low and outside, and he was playing low to the plate, and these guys were even swinging at some of that stuff. So I'm interested to see what your research proves, but it's just as much as this team strikes out so much, and it's kind of hard to watch. Where you're like, oh, why do you do this so much? And some of it's their own design, and some of it's good pitching, and some of it is bad umpiring. And I think it's also just a league wide thing they're trying to figure out is how do we get more balls in play. I think Major League Baseball would rather more of those 7 to 6, 10 inning slugfests rather than the 3-1 loss, almost a no hitter that gets broken up kind of games. So, but that's my tinfoil conspiracy.
No, that makes sense.
I think they want a little bit more, especially with the youth movement that's happening in baseball. I mean, they want to be like, look at all these young players and how many home runs and all the exciting, doubles and triples and offense. They don't want to say like, man, look at all these no hitters that we're throwing in 2021. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
Those commercials don't work out as much.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Chicks don't dig the looking strikeouts,
No, they don't.
Well, as we get here, big predictions for this week. What do you hope to see out of the Rays this week?
It's not really a performance prediction. I think it's a roster move prediction. I think Archer's he's going to be the first one back out of the guys we talked about earlier. And when he comes back, I think we're either going to see Rasmussen to AAA because he has his options. I'd like to see him stay with the team, but unfortunately he seems like he might go. Or we're going to see somebody else put on the IL for some reason, kind of like Brasso's oblique thing that, may or may not have been real. We don't really know. Or we're going to see a trade happen. So I think I'm predicting some kind of significant roster movement sometime this week. Okay. So not really a performance thing, but it's still going to impact the team pretty significantly. What about you? Any predictions?
Yeah, I just I think that they're sorry. I think that they're going to prey on the weak. I think that in my dream scenario, they beat up Max Fried. They maybe get one against Drew Smyly. They feast on Baltimore at home. The Rays have been so good at home, and I don't think that's going to stop any longer. I want to see them get a team that's way under 500 and just sweep them, and then with Cleveland coming in, we did really, really well against them last time. Going on the road to Cleveland, I hope that trend continues. So I'm hoping, my prediction is that they're going to go on a little bit of one of these winning streaks that we've been talking about all year. I think they're primed. If the bats show up, especially on the road, they can get some going. Bullpen's going great, and we may be able to close that gap, if not overtake Boston again and get in the front of the AL East. But that's just, I'm very hopeful, but I kind of, other than left-handed pitching, there's no reason I don't think that the Rays can't ignite another run, and that's what I'm seeing out of the schedule this week.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because I think a lot of the teams they're going to face are going to be sellers. Like Baltimore, should be selling at the deadline. Cleveland probably should be if they're smart. So yeah, I think we're going to run into teams that are maybe not at their strongest, and they absolutely have to take advantage of that. I'm not saying we need to sweep every series, but
right.
But getting the win is very important, and the sweep would be an added bonus as we cheer for the Yankees to maybe put a dent in the Red Sox win column.
Come on.
Unfortunately, I feel weird cheering for the Yankees, but right now,
Sure.
I want them to at least win one game. Maybe try that. I don't know.
Yeah. The enemy of my enemy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess there's a couple other things that I know you had in your notes that I want to make sure you get to. They've got a little bit of a promotion for our veterans and also a kind of a memorable highlight for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, the Rays are starting up their salute to service tickets again for some home games every once in a while. So you can get free tickets to actually Monday's game. That's why I'm going on Monday because I got free tickets. So yeah, they do it for first responders, military members, veterans, and teachers. You can if you sign up through their website, 2 free tickets to a home game. We're just playing the Orioles. It's nothing crazy, but I love going to games. It's so fun to be there. I feel like the Trop is one of the most underrated stadiums. Like,
okay, that's a hot take. There we go.
They've got a really great selection of food that they've amped up recently. It's a beautiful 72 degrees in there. They light up the roof like blue and like stuff and like orange and stuff. It's really cool. I don't know. The turf looks nice. It's a nice place to be. So I definitely just wanted to, maybe the Rays can pay us to promote this salute to service thing. So Eric Neander, we did it. You can send us a check or whatever. We'll take it. PayPal. I don't know.
Venmo me, bro.
Yeah. Well, he's probably got some money to spare.
I think he can do it. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday against Baltimore, there's going to be a little bit of a milestone reach for Major League Baseball here.
Yeah, so we're going to see the first ever all-female broadcast crew for a Major League Baseball game ever. And it's going to be exclusively on YouTube, I guess, for their home game against Baltimore. And honestly, I think it's a great thing for baseball. Like, to grow the game, like, you have to, reach out into, like, demographics and, groups of people that are historically not, have not been reached out to in the past. Because, it'll be really good for, people, when people can see themselves in the people they're watching on TV and things like that. I feel like it's just, that representation is a really good thing and it's going to help the game grow. So should be pretty cool to see that on Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like women watch baseball.
They absolutely do.
And so it's any little step forward where you say, like, and all the things that make baseball, like big B baseball, right? Like, it is the crew, it's the commentators, it's all of the things that make up. And hopefully one day we start seeing some bench coaches and hitting instructors and scouts and things like that. Kind of the unsung people that make baseball what it is. We start seeing, kind of like we're seeing in basketball, you're seeing a lot more coaching staffs and things like that as it trickles in front office wise as well. So
right.
Look, women are definitely a part of baseball, and it would be silly not to think that. And the more and more and more inclusivity we can have, the better. So phenomenal. I think that's a great thing to end the show with. So we've got a big week coming up. It was a nice, fun little break with some crazy up and down baseball, and all in all, it just makes for another interesting week as a Tampa Bay Rays fan. So, Ben, man, final thoughts before we get out of here.
I think the game today is going to be a really important test. So I'm really excited to be locked in watching that game later. Anything you want to add?
Man, I'm hoping that I'm wrong about Michael Wacha. I hope that I hope that I'm right about beating up the left-handers, Fried and Smiley, and I hope that we sit here next week in a sea of green and we talk about man, we swept Atlanta, man, we swept Baltimore, and we're looking good against Cleveland. So that's if I have one wish to wish upon a star, upon an all-star, let's do it. That's going to do it for us, guys. For our listeners here, thank you for spending your hour of time with us, man. We really appreciate it, and we're trying to give you the 5-star content that you deserve every single time we get on the mound. So if there's one thing you can do to help us, please, wherever you're listening to this, if you're on Spotify or Apple Pod or Stitcher or YouTube, wherever you're at, hit that little like button. Hit that little subscribe button. Share it with your friends. Let them know what we're doing here. It's only getting better. I mean, this is the 3rd show that you and I have done, Ben.
Yeah.
And it just keeps growing and getting better, man. So that's the one thing you can do. It's absolutely free. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. But also, if you're on social media, man, Ben just joined Twitter. There we go, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, finally.
What's that app, man? What's that handle?
It's my old gamer tag, so it's dogpancake73, all one word.
Boom.
So, yeah.
So follow my guy. Follow my guy. You could follow us. I know we follow him. We are at RBLR Sports, and so you can catch all of the guys, the Rowdies and the Bucks and the Lightning and all of the content that we have. We are at RBLR Sports. So from all of us here, for all of our crew here at RBLR Sports, we say thank you and go Rays.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.